For more than 2 years, we've been flying back and forth between the Philippines and the US. And while we usually fly Philippine Airlines when we're exploring the islands, we've never taken their long-haul flights across the Pacific. But today, I'm leaving Erin, Brooklyn, and Colt in BGC and making a solo trip back to the States to spend time with my oldest daughter, Reagan, and I figured this was a perfect opportunity to finally try PAL's round trip to LAX. I want to find out how PAL's Trans-Pacific experience compares to some of the other airlines we've flown, and how PAL's cabin classes compare to one another. To that end, I'll be flying economy to LAX and business class back. So let's get to Naya. Gotta say goodbye to the kiddos. Oh, hi, honey. I'm leaving. I love you, sweetheart. What? I'm heading to the States. I'll see you in a few days. Hi, bud. Take care, Mama, okay?
Okay.
I'll see you in a few days. I miss you.
Miss you too.
Love you.
Love you too. Phil and I aren't really used to being apart. I'm definitely not used to being away from him. We spend so much time together, and that's a good thing for us. So with him being gone for a week, essentially, it's unusual. So I'm a bit emotional over it, and that's not new because I cry over breathtaking views and happy moments. So we're gonna be just fine, but we are gonna miss him so much. But we know that this will be a really great trip for him and Reagan to have their quality time together.
I have about a solid 20 to 24 hours of travel time to get to Denver, ultimately, and then 5 days with Reagan before turning around and doing the whole thing in opposite. First thing I have to do is find a grab to the airport. Actually, the first thing I need to do is figure out which terminal I'm going into. I always forget to look for the terminal until the last minute, and as anybody who's ever flown into Naya knows, it's a pretty big deal if you go to the wrong one, unless you have all day. First thing I gotta do is get a grab. We're going to Terminal 1 at Naya today. Morning. For those of you who don't already know, our primary home is in Denver, and so I'm gonna have to take a connecting flight on a different airline from LAX to Denver, but that's a really short flight. Reagan is my child from my first marriage. She's 17 years old, a senior in high school, and I split custody with my ex-wife. And since we've been in the Philippines for a month now, I really need to get back so I can spend some time with her before I fly back out to Manila for about another month, and then we'll head back to Denver for a longer stretch. It is 8 o'clock right now. The current ETA to get to Naya is 8:20. I have a flight that's a little after 11 o'clock, so it's less than the 3-hour buffer I usually like to have, but it's gonna be just fine, I think, as long as we don't have any traffic issues on the way. It's a good time to swap out phones between my Philippines phone and my US phone. Thank you very much. Yeah. Hello. PAL.
Going to LA.
LA.
Thank you, sir.
Step 1 complete. Erin's usually the organizer for all of our travel days, so I gotta figure out everything on my own today. This is actually the first time that I've ever flown internationally without the family. Well, without someone. Erin and I have flown internationally together, but I've never flown internationally, especially transoceanic, by myself. Where are you, pal? I see it. Since I have no luggage, they're letting me check in using the business class line. I doubt that's standard procedure, but I just asked if I had to wait in the line since I didn't have any bags and everybody else was getting their luggage around, and they were like, just go over here. I really hope it's not a red flag that I'm flying internationally with no luggage. We watched To Catch a Smuggler, and I think that's always a little bit of a yellow flag. Hello, how are you? I'm doing economy to LA, business class back. Which direction do I go? Gates?
Exit that way and then enter center for immigration.
Thank you. Okay, all checked in. Now I've got to get through immigration, which of course is always a little bit of a hassle with cameras, so might as well say goodbye here and see you on the other side. Made it through. Had a little bit of a scare. When I was going through immigration, she took a pause and said, "Ooh, we've got a problem because your visa is 30 days. You came in on the 20th and today is the 21st. But I immediately remembered that we had just worked with MJ Solution out of Makati to get a 30-day or 29-day extension. So I just pulled the paperwork out, gave that to them. Whew. It wouldn't have been a big deal otherwise. I just have to go back and pay for a 30-day fee, but hop out of line. It would take a little bit longer. So glad we had that in place already. Thanks, MJ. Now, I'm not going to do any lounges today. I don't think I have time. It certainly doesn't really qualify based on an economy ticket. I do have, through my American Express card, a Priority Pass membership as well that gets me into pretty much lounges in almost every airport around the world. But for now, I'm just going to head out to our gate, which is 6, and just got to figure out where 6 is. I'm honestly pleasantly surprised / proud that I've made it this far without Erin's help. Okay, I've got 2 hours until my flight time, so I want to tell you a couple of cool things about Philippine Airlines. First of all, I'm looking out the window here, and I can see that we are on a 777 going into LAX, and my seat is 67E in the economy cabin. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the seating configuration in the economy cabin is going to be 343, so E should put me right in the middle of that middle aisle of seats. So not an aisle, not a window seat. I should have people on both sides of me. Hopefully that doesn't create too much of an issue with filming. Now, as I mentioned, today is the 21st. That's the 21st of September, 2024. Now, in just a few days, on October 2nd, if I'm not mistaken, Philippine Airlines is going to open up another route from Manila straight to Seattle in the U.S., and that would mark the 6th U.S. destination that they have in their routes. The others being New York, LAX, of course, San Francisco, Honolulu, and Guam, which, of course, are not in the mainland. Our flight today should be 12 and a half hours, and I'm actually going to be doing a little bit of time traveling because I'm leaving at 11:05 a.m. on Saturday the 21st and arriving in LA at 8:30 a.m. on Saturday the 21st. Now, obviously, you can book this flight directly with Philippine Airlines, but I choose to use Guide to the Philippines because I really like the user experience of their website, and they do such a phenomenal job of supporting our family and all of our travels around the Philippines. This is just one example. So they put together this entire flight package for me, helping with the planning and ensuring that I could do economy on the way out, business class on the way back. Whether you're working off of their mobile website or their desktop experience, either way, it's very easy to not just book flights like this, but adventures around the Philippines, hotels around the Philippines, or complete trip packages. We'll include a full link down below in the description, or you can always go to followabc.com/GTTP. Now, since we have some time to kill anyway, let me give you some really interesting history. And I bet even if you're a Filipino who's been flying Philippine Airlines for a long time, you probably won't know all of these really cool facts. Number one, most of you will know that Philippine Airlines and PAL are the same thing. Philippine Airlines was actually started in 1941 and is the oldest airline in Asia that's operating under its original name. But the history goes back a little bit farther than that because it was named Philippine Airlines Inc. when its franchise to operate was transferred from Philippine Aerial Taxi Company, or PATCO, in 1941. This one's really interesting too. The airline's first flight took place on March 15, 1941, with a single Beechcraft Model 18 NPC 54 on daily services between Manila, which was then Nielsen Field, and Baguio. But services were quickly interrupted during World War II, which lasted in the Philippines from late 1941 until 1945. So upon the outbreak of the Pacific War on December 8, 1941, so like 8 months after they were founded, the two Model 18s that they had and its pilots were pressed into military service. They were used to evacuate American fighter pilots to Australia until one was shot down over Mindanao and the other was destroyed on the ground in an air raid in Surabaya, Indonesia. On February 15, 1946, PAL resumed operations after a 5-year hiatus. This one comes as no surprise to us because we fly PAL so frequently and we frequently get into our destinations ahead of schedule, but they are frequently named the #1 most on-time airline in the Asia Pacific. They're also the only privately owned major flag carrier in Southeast Asia. I also learned this morning. Today, PAL is the Philippines' largest international airline and the only full-service Filipino air carrier offering business class, premium economy, and regular economy services. Its growing fleet, one of the world's youngest, consists of modern high-technology aircraft such as the Boeing 777 I'm flying today, along with Airbus A350 and A330 for long-haul routes, and then the A320 and A321 for regional and domestic routes. The airline's network now stretches across the world. The flag carrier operates from 4 hubs, and those are Manila, Cebu, Clark, and Davao, to a total of 32 destinations in the Philippines and 40 destinations in Asia, North America, Australia, and the Middle East. And PEL operates the country's only direct air links to mainland USA, Hawaii, Canada, New Zealand, and Western Europe, Japan, and Australia. So there you go, now you know. If I left any facts out, please leave them in the comments below. And it's time to board for my group, which is C. This means that the travel day has officially begun. 67, 31, 32. Let's see if there's a big jump when we go past this cabin. 42. I think I'm gonna be pretty far into the back. Now we're into the 60s. Okay. Oh, wow. I'm maybe 4 from the back. 4 rows from the very back of the plane. Well, I have this thing between my feet, which is not a problem at all. Actually, it's kind of comfortable because it goes right between my feet. But I do have to decide which side of that I'm gonna put my backpack on, because it's pretty much smack dab in the middle. So maybe I'll wait and see what my neighboring passengers need. So I already see that we've got headphones already waiting for me. I'm just gonna put those in the seat back pocket. Pillow, standard pillow, that'll be good enough. And a pretty decent thickness blanket, which I will need because I did not bring any kind of a long sleeve shirt, sweatshirt, or jacket to wear on the flight. And a lot of times it can get really, really cold. Let's see what else we have. A large entertainment screen. I understand that there's Wi-Fi on this flight, so as long as it's functioning today, that's great. I'll be able to get online. Sometimes I like to watch movies on the screens. Sometimes I like to sleep. Sometimes I like to just work on my laptop or on my phone. I don't know where I'm going to be today, to be perfectly honest. So actually my neighbor right here wants to sit next to her husband. He's got an aisle seat right behind us, so we're going to swap. Okay, there's plenty of room here, and I've got this nice big tray, so I think I'm definitely going to get some work done on this flight. But while we wait for the first meal to come out, I think I'm just going to put on a movie, sit back, and relax a little bit. I really like that they give you a complete menu for everything that you have here. It makes it easier than waiting for the flight attendants to come by and then having everybody ask what's available in terms of drinks and food. So for the first meal here, it's a hot meal, and it starts with bread roll and butter, a vegetable salad, and then your choice between a beef dish and a chicken dish. And I think I'm gonna go with the chicken piccata, so that lemon butter sauce with broccoli and rice pilaf. There's a dessert either way, and that is a mango cream cake. Yum. And in addition to all of the typical soft drinks, sodas, juices, coffees, and stuff, they do have alcoholic beverages available, even in the economy cabin. And there are 2 white wines available and 2 red wines. So even though I'm having chicken, I think I'm in the mood for a red wine, so I'm going to do the French cab. There's a breakfast, which is interesting because we'll actually be eating that like before midnight as far as our circadian rhythms are concerned. But of course, it'll be more like probably 7 a.m. LAX time, LA time. And breakfast options all include bread roll and butter again, seasonal fresh fruits, best of the Philippines treat. I'm not sure what that is, but I can't wait to find out. And then your choice between 2 mains, one of those being chicken sisig and a breakfast casserole. Breakfast casserole is a Hungarian sausage paired with tomato and onion quiche and potatoes. But I think I'm going to go with the sisig for that one. Minced chicken with garlic aioli served with scrambled eggs and garlic fried rice. Oh, and partway through the flight, looks like they do a little sandwich course. Home-style corned beef hash sandwich and cookies. One slight hiccup that we have is that every time they try to initiate the meal service, we end up hitting some turbulence. I'm sure we'll get there soon enough. No rush, it's a long flight.
For you, ma'am. Chicken or beef? Chicken first.
Chicken piccata, please. Thank you. Mango cream cake. Here's the little salad with cucumber, carrots, lettuce, the roll, and the chicken piccata. Pretty good. Even got some bonus off-menu dried mangoes. Erin would love those. And Brooklyn. With the rice, I think it's actually easier to eat with a spoon. I know I'm supposed to be using a fork and a spoon, but I've already dropped some rice on my shirt once. Could I do the French Cabernet Sauvignon, please? Thank you. I call it the French Cab because I actually don't know how to pronounce it. The French language has never made much sense to me. Domaine, Preniers, Les Vues, something like that. It's pretty tasty, I can tell you that much. All right, let's give this salad a try now. Let's say what kind of dressing that is. Italian dressing. I was gonna say it tastes a little bit like a coleslaw, of which I am a huge fan. And trying the mango cake. It's a little bit like angel food cake. Actually, it's like a cross between devil's food and angel's food. It's really good. I'm gonna save the dried mangoes for later, and I'm gonna finish my movie. Well, we are halfway through the flight, exactly 6 hours to go. So far, I've watched 2 films, probably gotten an hour and a half of sleep, and I got on the in-flight Wi-Fi, and I've been texting with Erin for the past half an hour. I thought about skipping this mid-flight snack, but I was already getting a little bit hungry, so I thought that'd be a bad idea. Got the little bag of snack cookies, and then that corned beef sandwich, which is actually pretty tasty. So I'm gonna finish this. I'm putting on my 3rd film, which by the way is Equalizer 3. I've seen it before, unfortunately, but it's a really good film, so I don't mind watching it again. And I'm just gonna kick back. It is actually an incredibly comfortable flight so far, considering its economy. These seats recline farther than any economy seat I've ever flown in before, so I don't even need my neck pillow to be comfortable while sleeping. So, I'm digging it. See you in a bit. Well, after 3 movies and about 3 hours of sleep, it is breakfast time. And again, those choices are going to be between the chicken sisig and the breakfast casserole. Looks like we've got some melon here and some more of those dried mangoes, so I can add that to my little collection for post-flight. And the sisig looks really good, actually. It is good. And we have just under 2 hours left in the flight, which means just enough time for one last movie. Landed.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, please remain seated while the cabin crew performs their safety checks.
Little preview of 5 days from now right there.
Hi, salamat po.
Well, my friends, that was my Philippine Airlines Manila to LAX economy experience, and I have to say, it was unexpected in the sense that it felt like an 8-hour flight, not a 12-and-a-half-hour flight. And I think a lot of the credit for that has to go to the seat recline. I was able to really sleep. Kind of reminds me of being in business class, which of course we get to experience 5 days from now when I fly back to Manila. For now, I've got to get through immigration, and I just realized that this is my first opportunity to use my global entry because we don't have the kids with us and the kids don't have global entry. But I don't even have my global entry card, so I don't get to do it. Anyway, I've got about a 5-hour layover anyway, so plenty of time to kill. I'll see you in 5 days. It's 5 days later, we are back at LAX, and time to check in for our flight, although I have a new addition today. Had some stuff that I wanted to bring from Denver, and Brooklyn and Colt and Erin all had some stuff that they wanted also. So I packed one large suitcase, which is going to work out really well. I'll tell you why in just a sec. Got to check in here, and we get to use the business class line again. Now, if you recall, on the way out here, I got to use the business class check-in because I didn't have any luggage. Today I get to use it because I'm flying business class. Just one. Can you tell me what my seat is?
You are 3D.
3D? Yes. All right, all checked in. Got to go through security now. Now, both the business class flight and the economy flight allow 2 checked baggages per passenger, and those can be a maximum of 32 kilos or about 70 pounds. You see on the other side. That was pretty easy, and now we just have to head, actually, instead of heading to the gate, one of the many perks that we have with Flying Pals business class is lounge access. And in LAX, you get to use the Star Alliance Lounge, which I think is just up here and then to the right, and 6th floor. Some of the best things about any lounge would be the free food, the free drinks, and of course free Wi-Fi. It's going to be typically a higher quality and a little bit safer than what you would find elsewhere in the airport. Now, I just ate before taking the little flight over here from Denver, so I'm not really in the mood for that. I'm not going to drink anything right now. Mostly I'm going to jump on some Wi-Fi and check email before we go and board the flight. But I have to say, the Star Alliance Lounge is pretty high end. I'd put it up there with like American Express Centurion Lounge level. Good selection of food, good selection of booze, and quite a bit of space, including the area outside here. It's a balcony overlooking the other parts of the terminal, so that's kind of a cool vibe. All right, let's head to the gate. Thank you. Oh, turns out there's escalators, so you don't have to wait in that kind of long line for the elevators down there. This is better. This flight is pretty close to a midnight takeoff, and normally that would be a problem. I would be way too tired to even film something like this. Luckily, this entire time that I've been in Denver, I have stayed on Manila time. So I've been going to bed right around sunrise, Denver time, and then getting up at about 3 or 4 in the afternoon. So minimizing jet lag while there, and definitely minimizing jet lag once I get back. So for me right now, it's actually more like 1:30 in the afternoon, so I am good to go. The exact flight time for my flight is 11:40 p.m., and it's one of 2 flights that Philippine Airlines runs daily. The other's gonna be at 12:35 p.m., so in the afternoon, just afternoon. Same thing in the flight that we took out here. Mine was at about 11 a.m. They also have another one that's at about 10 p.m. Now going back tonight is gonna be a bit of a longer flight. It's gonna be estimated about 14 hours and 50 minutes versus the 13 and a half hours. The main reason for that is that we are flying against the jet stream, but any number of other factors can also come into play. Winds, weather, and so on. Just like on the flight out here, I'm gonna be on a Boeing 777. It's a bi-class plane, so we have economy in the back, 328 total seats in economy, and then 42 in business class. Philippine Airlines has some nicknames for their various classes, and the business class is called Mabuhay Business Class, and the economy is called Fiesta Economy. And even though I booked my tickets through Guide to the Philippines, of course you can go to philippineairlines.com to book any of your flight needs. I'm scrambling to just make boarding time, which is 10:40 p.m. And of course, since it's business class, I'm boarding group A. And one big difference between business class and economy is when you're in business class, you want to get on as early as possible, really take full advantage of all of the amenities. So I want to get on ASAP. And the flight is still on time, but the boarding time has been moved to 10:55. So I got like a 15-minute reprieve. Here we go. Mabuhay. How are you?
Good evening, Mr. Lockwood. Nice to have you on board. This way, please.
Thank you. Here we go. That's quite an amenities bag. Big. So you can see that the setup here is a 232 configuration. So there are some seats in this business class where you don't have direct aisle access, and that's not always the case with business class. But I gotta tell you, I've flown business class a number of times, and I don't think it's a problem because you gotta look at the amount of legroom you have here. I mean, you can easily walk past people, and even when you're in the lie flat position, you can easily step over people unless you have some sort of a disability, and that can be accommodated, I'm sure. And actually, we're gonna put a seat cover on, so she's helping with this. I haven't seen this before. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, that's nice. So the seats in economy were about 18.5 inches wide, and here they are 20 inches wide. Let me double check my notes on that. 20 and 18.5, yes. And for anybody who doesn't live in the States, that's gonna be about 51 centimeters on the business class versus 47 centimeters in economy. So let's take a look at this goodies bag. What do we have here? Slippers. I will definitely be using those actually, because the shoes that I'm wearing right now are pretty high pressure for a very long flight like this. And this is a full-on duvet or comforter kind of blanket. I was thinking about bringing a sweatshirt with me today, but then I was like, no, we're gonna have these really warm blankets on here, so I'm not even gonna bother with the bulk. Got these noise-canceling headphones right here. And then I'm sure this is a toiletries bag, passing out complimentary champagne already. I'm gonna pass, at least for now. I'm okay right now, thank you, appreciate it. So take a look at this, Pal socks. Looks like some moisturizer. Of course, I think this one's also a moisturizer. This one's like lotion, hand lotion, I don't know. Where's Erin when you need her? She would know what all of this stuff is. Yeah, all sorts of like little face creams and whatever. And then lip stuff, I know what that is. And lastly, of course, the dental kit. So it looks like Colgate toothpaste and a toothbrush. And they brought me a hot hand towel. All right, time to get settled in. I can't wait to watch a couple of movies on this screen. It's a 40 centimeter screen right up here in front of us. Okay, so I'm told, surprisingly, that we can actually stow baggage right under there for takeoff and landing and everything. So I'm just gonna put it right there versus in the overhead bin. It's a little easier to access as I need to move stuff around. But right now, I need to pick what I want to eat and drink for a good chunk of the flight, at least the main items. So these menus are so much more substantial than what we had in economy. I mean, it's a full-on cocktail menu, drink menu right here. And then the dining menu, you actually have multiple choices for entrees for the dinner tonight and then even breakfast tomorrow. So I can tell you that as far as cocktails go, these are really tempting because they've got these signature cocktails at the beginning here, and they all look pretty elaborate. Tempting, tempting. Pretty good selection of wines to choose from here. But I know what I'm gonna have for my meal, so I'm gonna kind of base my alcohol intake on that. So for the appetizers, I think you're supposed to pick between the soup and the tuna tataki salad, but I picked the tataki salad and she said, I'll just bring you the soup too. And for my main, I'm doing the filet mignon. So I'm gonna do a glass of Cabernet Sauvignon to go along with that. And for the endings, the desserts here, she said she's gonna bring one of everything. OOE, one of my favorite things. Mid-flight refreshment, so there's a chicken quesadilla instead of the sandwich that we had on the way here, the corned beef hash, I believe, right? And then the arroz caldo. And then for breakfast, I could choose between the tapsilog bowl, the Belgian waffles, or the chicken sisig burrito, a Filipino breakfast burrito. Whoa, mind blown. I'm gonna do the tapsilog bowl, though. That sounds the best to me. So, all ordered up there, drinks on the way, I can put the menus away, and I just heard him close the door, so I might have to shut down here in a second. But there is so much more stuff to feature for business class, this little cockpit, than in economy. I'm gonna have to figure a lot of it out. Looks like the side armrest here goes down, maybe even to multiple positions. And judging from my experience with past business class flights, that can be really handy when you're actually in the lie flat position. Gives you more elbow room so that you're not bumping into it. We've got our TV remote over here because there's no way you're gonna be able to reach the TV to change anything directly on the screen. So it is all right here, handy to use. Right behind it, I'm guessing this is where the headphones plug in. And then our seat controls, it looks like we've got presets. M, I think, is probably for manual. And then we have the ideal eating position, and position number 1, position number 2, I think those are just varying levels of recline. And then we have the sleeping position, lie flat, and the one that is for takeoff, landing, taxi, all that good stuff. And then inside of the armrest here is our tray table. We'll pull that out later when it's time to eat. Now the screen does say touch the screen or press enter on the handset to continue. So apparently it is a touch screen if you have really long arms. So they have 2 different Cabernet Sauvignons, so they're letting me taste each one to see which one I like best. I'm guessing that we're gonna have some bread service, and I gotta tell you, bread with olive oil and balsamic vinegar is one of my favorite things in the world. In fact, I had it in the middle of the night last night because it was left over from a dinner I had with Reagan. So the first thing up here is the bone marrow soup, and this is obviously a Filipino delicacy. I've never had it before as far as I know, but I do love bone marrow. It's got vegetables and beef. Oh man, that is phenomenal. The food program in business class is already off the charts compared to economy, and frankly, compared to any other airline I've ever been on. This is like a 5-star gourmet setup. I'm impressed. And now to try some of the bone marrow. That is just decadent. That is so good. The only other place I've had bone marrow is in 5-star restaurants. Las Vegas and LA, maybe New York. To have it on an airplane is just ridiculous. And here's my tuna tataki salad already. Got a little surf and turf between the beef soup and the tuna here. Looks like it's on a bed of avocado cream puree. Oh, that's really good. The tuna's just seared perfectly. And then the salad part is microgreens in a very light dressing. Really, really good. Gotta get your veggies. I think I might like the salad even better than the tuna. Gotta try this bread. There are olive oil, balsamic. It's really good French bread. It already has some butter and maybe some parsley on it. And here's the filet mignon. Thank you. So filet mignon on a bed of creamy polenta and maybe a demi-glaze or an au jus and some sauteed spinach. Let's dig in.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen from Flight Air Canada. Flight board flight PR1.
Was really good. I'm done, thank you. Can I just tell you how impressed I am with the service? There are at least 4 people in the business class cabin that are working with us, and every single one of them greeted me as Mr. Lockwood, not by looking at anything on a phone, tablet, piece of paper, nothing. It's like they're just walking around the cabin and addressing everybody by name. It's very impressive. I'm not quite sure how they do it. Well, guess what's for dessert? A couple of things, actually. I got some chocolate ice cream, but what I'm more excited about is maíz con hielo. First time I had this was actually in Denver, Colorado, of all places, in the US, but at a Filipino restaurant, and fell in love. I think corn and dessert go together unlike any other combination you can think of. I'm actually feeling a little bit full from the entree and appetizers and bread service, salad, soup, but there's no way I cannot eat this. So that's vanilla ice cream on top. So I'm gonna have to work my way through all of the vanilla ice cream before I can get to the rest, before I can have my chocolate ice cream. All right, here we go. Oh, that's good. Very, very cold. That's a bit different from the one that I had in the US. It's a very different texture. I would imagine this is one of those things where you can put your own spin on it. Everybody serves it a little bit differently. But this one is, I mean, it's practically frozen. It's like a frozen dessert all the way through. So I'm gonna get some ice cream and some corn. They need more desserts made with corn. No way I can eat this all, actually. Want some? I have some red wine left. Chocolate and red wine, like peas and carrots. But I'm ready to kick back because I'm sure they're going to turn the lights off pretty soon. I'm going to put my movie back on and just chill. Well, apparently I'm not quite ready to watch a movie just yet because they just brought the third dessert, which is a cheese tray. And a cheese tray is one of the best desserts in the world.
We also have carrot cake.
Okay. Yeah. And carrot cake, which is also one of my favorite desserts of all time. All right, here we go. We got raisins in there. Oh, that frosting is phenomenal. Cream cheese galore. All right, let's try some of these cheeses. And it's like maybe a date or fig, but it's a fig. And a dried apricot, walnut, and crackers. 3 different kinds of cheese. One looks like a brie. I think it's a goat. It's really good. It's actually a phenomenal cheese, very unusual. Got a real tang to it. And then the third one tastes a little bit like a Swiss. I'm not sure. I'm not up to speed on my cheeses too much, honestly. But there are no holes in it, so I don't think it's a Swiss. I don't even know if I'm going to be hungry enough to eat that mid-flight meal. I'm stuffed. Now I'm ready to watch a movie. Got a quick check-in here. We're a little bit past halfway currently. In fact, they somewhat recently finished up that mid-flight meal, which was either the chicken quesadilla or the arroz caldo. I didn't have either one because I was taking full advantage of these lie flat seats to take a few hours nap. But they do keep walking around the cabin also offering chips. They've got dark and milk chocolate. They have nuts. They have dried mango and a number of other things. But again, I'm not even hungry for those. So I'm just going to wait for the breakfast meal. And in the meantime, keep watching some movies on this really big screen. We're just under 3 hours left in the flight, and my watch and my phone batteries are starting to die. I noticed that there are some plugs on the very front of the console here, so I'm going to plug everything in so that when we arrive, I've got 100% juice. I think part of the reason that my phone battery drains so quickly is because of using the Wi-Fi on board, which is pretty handy. So when you're in business class, you get complimentary Wi-Fi, but it's only for a certain amount of megabytes. So the flight attendants actually gave me some extra cards. So they hand these out, and then you can have a lot more data that you can use throughout the flight. So very handy. I see them starting to pass out breakfast, so I'm sure we're going to be up really soon. What did I order again? Ah, yes, the bowl. Got another warm towel and some orange juice. She asked if I wanted orange juice or a strawberry smoothie. Tastes fresh squeezed. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Phil, are you actually hungry for breakfast? And the answer is sort of. I'm still pretty satisfied from that long dinner, and I think that's a testament to the difference not just in the quality of food in business class, but in the quantity. Because in the economy flight on the way over here, I ate every single morsel from every single meal. Here I skipped the mid-flight stuff, and I'm still just barely hungry enough to eat this. Starting to make some good progress here. I got the same little like bread setup tray, but this time instead of olive oil and balsamic, they brought strawberry jam. All right, I got my croissant and the fruit platter. The fruit platter is a combination of melon, grapes, strawberry, and orange. I do like how they bring it out kind of course by course instead of all at once. Makes it easier with the tray setup size, you know? I don't know why, but I think fruit on airplanes is always some of the best fruit I ever have. Crisp, cold, fresh, almost flawless. Now, even though I had Guide to the Philippines book this flight for me as a standalone flight, what they're really known for is their packages. And most of the time when we travel through Guide to the Philippines, that's what we're using them for. So they're putting together adventures and airport transfers, flights, hotels, the whole shebang. And one of the cool things is when you need to modify your flight so that it matches your dates or your desired travel times, you can do that right on their website just by going into the flights tab and checking all of the different options. So it looks like I've got maybe an over medium kind of egg on the top, poached, and then the beef and the rice and some microgreens on top. This is a perfect portion size because I'm not that hungry. And I said over medium, but that doesn't make sense since it's a poached egg. Just poached medium. That rice is phenomenal. That beef is really good too. It's totally different texture, totally different firmness than the filet mignon that I had for dinner. Really good. The spices on it, phenomenal. It's a good little Filipino breakfast. I'm happy with my choice. Although I would have liked to have tried a Filipino breakfast burrito, but I think that would have been too much food, honestly. And now I'm stuffed again. Oh, I just realized where those manual buttons are. So the M that we had on the main panel here for the seats, these are then the micro controls that you can use to change the position of the back, the bottom, and even the leg rest portion down below. Touchdown at exactly 5 a.m. It was a great flight, but it feels really good to be back. Maraming salamat. Thank you. Hello. Oh, door-to-door service here. How are you doing?
I'm good, sir. How's your flight?
It was great. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. Thank you. Bye. So personal escort from the plane through immigration, skipping the lines. That's a first for me, for us. And then a personal escort right out here to grab a grab. So let's do that. Okay, 2 minutes away on the grab. So this is a good time to kind of wrap up my thoughts on this experience overall. I gotta say, I've flown a lot of airlines, and I think that the big standout with PAL is that famous Filipino hospitality. And a lot of times I see on airlines, you might get that sort of thing in the business class or first class cabins, but not in economy. But here was universal. It doesn't matter where you sit on that plane, they treat you with nothing but respect and really go out of their way to be as helpful as possible. That is, of course, the PAL difference. Now, let's talk about economy versus business class. Obviously, there's a big difference, but I used to think that it was mostly about the seats, you know, and being able to lie flat and get a better night's sleep if that's what you want to do on the flight. But I think as long as you have adequate recline, you can sleep. So, I mean, I have some other issues like my broken tailbone that makes it a whole lot better to lie flat versus sitting up. But other than that, I think both experiences were just fine in terms of being able to get some rest on the flight. Food, big differentiator. The food was good and equivalent to what I've experienced with other airlines in economy, but on the way back in business class, it was really like 5-star, really over the top. Selection, quality, flavor, and of course the service. Thank you. Oh, look who's waiting. Thank you so much. Let me shut this door.
Thank you. That was way too long. I think that was 9 days for me because he had the travel days, but I hope we're never apart that long again. We're so happy that he's home. We missed him so much. But that's it. Thank you for watching. We will see you in the very next episode.
All right, I think I'm gonna save the dried mangoes for a little bit later, but The suction cup came off and it literally fell in my tray and spilled my red wine. Brain freeze. Brain freeze. Give me a minute. Ate the chocolate ice cream too fast.